This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Welcome in on a Monday to the Monday Mashup. Shea and Kevin, as always, here to take you through the week of sporting shit.
That's a good way to put it this week.
It was just not a lot happened except for, Celtics Clippers was fantastic. Jason Tatum, my dog's being an asshole. Jason Tatum put himself into firmly, I don't want to say superstar territory, but certainly star territory.
Future superstar territory.
I think
How old is he? 19?
Yeah, 16. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because it's out of market and it's my team, obviously. But the stuff that came out after the first playoff run when people were like, this is a future MVP, he's reasserting that this year. Last year was a down year, sophomore slump, if you want to call it that. He's reasserting himself as a future MVP.
May have played a factor in his decline last year.
Correct. Yeah, there was a certain guy in the locker room who wasn't well received. But I think this year him and Jalen both have reasserted themselves as future superstars.
Jalen should have been an all-star for sure.
Other than that, fuck the Houston Astros. I'm just
That's funny.
Listen, I think this is the best story baseball has had.
It's the only story. That's the main thing is I've paid more attention to baseball the last however many weeks since this came out. This is what'll get me to talk about baseball. Somebody cheat in the World Series.
Since steroids, this is the best story that baseball has had.
Imagine that. Another cheating scandal.
I don't care if you hate the Astros, if you love the Astros. I think most people hate them.
I love Justin Verlander.
I don't anymore.
I do. I have to.
But did you see his interview? I can't love him anymore.
Well, I
can't.
My thing for him is okay, you came in halfway through the year. It was already fully underway. The whole espionage, whatever you want to call it, process, whatever, was already well underway when he got there. He was a pitcher. So it's not as if he was benefiting from the sign stealing other than run support.
Yeah, he was getting the best run support of his career.
But he historically gets terrible run support.
He also historically shits on people for cheating.
He does. He does do that.
That's where it's
he does do that.
Hey, if you know that they're banging a garbage can every time you're getting a curveball, maybe don't come out and scream foul that everybody's hitting home runs because you think the balls are juiced.
Yeah.
Maybe just hold that one in.
That's a tough one. It's a tough look for him.
That's why, and then he comes out and gives the soft-assed answer in the interviews. Yeah, like, shut up, wish you had done more. If he got traded to the Dodgers and this story came out, he would have been throwing Altuve in front of a garbage truck. Like,
You've gone full Brian McCann on him. Full Brian McCann.
I just don't buy that he's genuine anymore, and that's I don't really care about that anymore.
I just love him. I have to love Justin Verlander. I can't
That's
not
fair.
love Justin. He didn't take steroids. Like okay, fine. He didn't cheat, right? Like, yeah, whatever. There's enough of a degree of separation where I could be like, no, I love that guy. He's
that's
fine.
fair.
Like,
I mean, that's fair. I'm over it. I'm over the Justin Verlander thing.
At the whole point of it, like at the end, I'm like, oh, I'm outraged. I'm not gonna watch opening day. Like, I'm not going to. I don't care. I'll watch the clip if somebody throws at Altuve, but I'm not gonna watch it live.
And like, people like Correa is gonna get and that's again. People keep worrying about, they're going to get thrown at. Major League Baseball has to do so. Who fucking cares?
As long as you don't throw at their head, I don't care. Like, you don't throw at his head and you don't throw at his kneecap. Throw him all you want. Like, 90 miles an hour, it hurts. 95, 100, it hurts. But if you take it in the ass, or on the ass, if you take it on the ass, very important distinction. If you take it on the ass, like, it does not hurt nearly as bad. It's just going to leave a bruise.
Like, the other thing is, who gives a shit if they get thrown at? You're just putting them on base.
It's like remember when Ryan Dempster did that shit to A-Rod and Joe Girardi went, that was the best clip baseball had that whole year. Like, it went viral. Everybody loved it.
The other thing, like, holy shit. We will get into some waffling flake stuff in a minute. But as for waffling, good Lord, every question asked of Jim Crane or of Carlos Correa or whoever they talk to, waffles on the answer.
I will not claim to be a PR expert. I feel I could do a better PR job than the Astros PR staff has done.
I think they need to hire a new PR firm.
You have to. Like, you have to. Like, I mean, you can't. And you heard the PR person, like, that press conference was probably supposed to go on for another 10 minutes. And after the last, like, answer, Jim Crane, I never said it didn't help the game. The PR person's like, okay, we're going to wrap this up. One more question and we're done. It's like, get him off of that podium now. Like, this is your billionaire owner. You are doing the worst job of protecting him. And yes, he's a moron for what he said. But as a PR staff, your job is to not let him say something fucking stupid.
Right. Like who's briefing this guy
seriously.
That he's going out and going, well, it didn't have any impact on the outcome of the game. Really?
Did you read the report?
Knowing what pitch you're getting has no impact on the outcome of the game. If you're a major league hitter, a professional hitter, and you know what pitch you're getting, you should hit 500.
Seriously. Like, easily. And I know that it's like, oh, well, it's the same argument with steroids. Like, yeah, it's great, but he's still got to hit the ball. It's like, yeah, well, the ball goes further if he hits it because he's taking steroids. Well,
I mean, that one's different because you do still got to hit the ball. Right, knowing what fucking pitch is coming
to hit it.
is way easier than being on steroids.
And, like, the thing about signs, I think the casual fan doesn't understand that, like, the catcher doesn't just put down a 2 and we throw a curveball. The catcher puts down what pitch it is, where to locate it. Like, there's a lot more than just one, like, oh, throw the curveball and, like, wherever it goes, it goes. Like, they're banging on the trash can. It's what pitch is coming and where they're going with it.
Yep.
Like, he knows where to stand in the box. Like, signs get very complicated once you get past the 8th grade. Especially, like, I remember being in college in the first week thinking, like, I have to learn all this shit. They're like, no, you just have to learn the 2 things. Like, oh, thank God I'm not a catcher. Like, imagine having to learn all those damn signs. That would suck. Like, it's very complicated. And knowing where the pitch is going, what pitch it is, like, even the count, you can try to guess, like, everything helps. Like, as a hitter, you're sitting up there. Any extra bit of information you have makes it so much easier.
They had their entire analytics department essentially grinding
tape. And a camera.
They were grinding tape just to figure out signs from every team.
It's one thing. Like, I would honestly somewhat respect it. Not respect it, but I wouldn't be mad if they stuck a scout in center field with a pair of fucking binoculars. And he just tried to somehow send up, like, a hand signal to
just
the hitter.
One guy with, like, a notepad and an Excel spreadsheet.
Just charting it. Like, charting, this is what they throw then, this is what they... That's a good classic way to... That's gamesmanship,
baseball.
Not cheating.
Yeah, that's baseball.
Right? Exactly. When you put a fucking camera in there... and you add yourself the benefit of being able to have hours of looking at it and breaking it down.
Jose Altuve's wearing a buzzer because fuck you, Carlos Correa.
Well, he had to cover up his bad
no
tattoo.
way it was an unfinished tattoo. You know how I know it wasn't an unfinished tattoo? If you go to Jose Altuve's Instagram page, there's a picture of him at the beach with his shirt off, and he doesn't have a fucking tattoo.
It's a very small canvas also. How long could it take to finish the tattoo on a canvas that small?
It's ridiculous. Carlos Correa has been the funniest part of this because then he goes to Cody Bellinger, who's obviously upset he didn't win the World Series. And now listen, if you're as bad at the plate as Cody Bellinger was in the World Series, you may not be the best guy to talk.
And if you're a white guy named Cody with a punchable face like that,
it's rough. But fair point. They cheated, and that's a big part of why they beat you in a World Series.
Sure. For sure.
That's totally fair, especially since that World Series had like record-breaking run totals.
Think of how we think of Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
Like he got rocked. And granted, he got rocked by the Nationals this year too. Like that's what Clayton Kershaw does. But think like that's part of the narrative is he got shelled. Like they knew what pitches were coming.
Yeah.
He's not Clayton Kershaw if they know what pitch is coming.
And that's where like Correa's comments to Bellinger kind of irked me. They were admittedly incredibly funny. And it's one of my favorite quotes of all time.
Yes.
I'm going to pull up the actual quote because I was absolutely dying when I read it. It's incredibly tone deaf and almost mean to Bellinger. And
it's definitely mean to Bellinger. He was trying to be mean to Bellinger for sure.
Correa has arguably been the worst as far as interviews about this go. He will like the unfinished tattoo, and now the quote here about Cody Bellinger. Cody didn't have a good World Series. For him to be talking about us stealing that championship, don't talk about it. You should not be talking about it. You should have done something about it.
Yeah, that's you stunk. Him being mad about Bellinger saying Altuve stole an MVP from Judge, I somewhat understand that because it's like, this isn't about you. Like, this dude isn't on your team.
Right.
You're not going after. So it's like you're just attacking Jose Altuve to attack Jose Altuve, which probably deservingly so right
Fair.
now, at least a little bit. But to panhandle or whatever you want to call it for a guy who plays 3,000 miles away that you don't know, I get Correa being like, yo, shut up. This has nothing to do with you. His MVP has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Like, the World Series thing, be mad about it if you're Cody Bellinger. Like Correa said, maybe get a hit. Like, maybe try and get on base,
Might help.
do something. But you can't say shit about Altuve's MVP. It has nothing to do with you.
The funniest thing about Correa's comment, though, is, yes, we cheated, but actually it's your fault you lost, you loser, you fucking bitch.
We didn't cheat on defense, and you couldn't get a hit.
This is why you lost, because you lost, loser.
Yeah.
I thought it was a hilarious comment, and if you thought we were moving furniture, we weren't moving furniture. My dog was being a dick.
He's a very good boy, though.
He is. He's the best dog in the world.
10 out of 10 would boop.
He's just very he likes to have attention, and when we're podcasting, there's not much attention. No, the Correa stuff cracked me up, and the entire situation cracks me up because if you're Major League Baseball, what do? You can't relegate.
You could at least put an asterisk on it.
I mean, yeah, you could honestly at this point vacating a championship feels like as
Rob
good a
Manfred
punishment
saying
as
it
there could be.
seemed stupid to put an asterisk, or I don't think he used the word stupid, but something along those lines. It seemed whatever to put an asterisk on it or ask for a piece of metal back. Like I get that a trophy is essentially a piece of metal, but it's what it represents, not what it actually is consisting of. It's like you ask for the trophy back, it means we're taking the championship away, not we're taking the trophy away.
Yeah, and I think vacating the championship, because I've heard a lot of people like, well, why don't you relegate them to AAA? Well, you can't, because they'll win every single game. Like, you can't do that.
And do they have relegate them to AAA for what? Like, so they can win AAA for the year?
Yeah, or why don't you just not let them play in the postseason? Well, because they're going to win 100 games this year. Like, if the team that wins 100 games is not allowed to play in the postseason, then you just kind of gifted someone in their division a spot, and maybe that team doesn't deserve it.
Could you imagine playing 162 baseball games and being told, like, nah, you can't play in the postseason?
Yeah, and the other thing is,
like, fuck
if they tell them you can't play in the postseason, what stops them from just going, all right, then why am I going to run Altuve out there? Like, why am I going to run George Springer out there?
If they say you can't play in the postseason, let me trade everyone on my team for your best draft picks from everybody, and in 3 years when this is over, I'll win a championship again with all these draft picks and prospects.
I think, like, vacate the championship, and I was very much against vacating the championship. Even if they do, Astros fans will know. Like, they will still have the memory of having won that, whether it's tainted for them or not. If it is, you're a loser, in my opinion. I don't care.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a Patriots fan. I've experienced winning titles in years where we've been accused of cheating. It doesn't fucking bother me. We won a Super Bowl.
I wish the Lions would cheat.
Exactly. If that's my whole opinion on this whole thing, is everybody gets all up in arms. They fucking cheated. And it's like, no, dude, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
If the Lions could cheat, that'd be great.
If you tell me, honest to God, if you look me in the face and you say to me, if my team cheated to win a championship, I would not want the championship. You know what I think you are? A fucking liar.
If my team cheated just to like get a home playoff game, I'd be really happy. Like, you don't have to win the championship. Just like 12 games, a division title.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Anybody who's like, oh God, I don't want my team cheating. Yes, you do.
Yeah, I'm down
yes,
for
you
it.
do.
I hope they are. You make that much money, you haven't figured out a way to cheat?
Speaking of teams cheating, people want to shit on Michigan State right now because they feel like they cheated Colorado. Do you know who doesn't care? This guy.
Yeah, don't care one bit.
Colorado doesn't have a head coach. I feel bad for the players who recruited to that school.
Yeah.
Don't much feel bad for Colorado football because I now have a head coach who might be good.
Exactly. Like, I feel for the kids who signed a letter of intent and Mel Tucker looked them in the face on a Thursday and said, I'm not leaving, and then left on a whatever day. Yes, I feel bad for those kids. That kind of sucks because the NCAA is going to screw you and not let you out of your letter of intent and like all that kind of sucks. Don't get mad at me. My coach decided to resign in the middle of February. You got to do something.
That is my entire opinion here because I think, like, who was it that got on air and was like, Michigan stank because they went and poached Mel Tucker on ESPN. And it might have been Keyshawn Johnson said Michigan stank.
So was he wearing his ESPN hoodie that morning?
Yeah, and Seth Greenberg was on ESPN preaching morality as it goes to doing the right thing and not... Dude, when a head coach retires in the middle of fucking February, you're going to have to get your hands a little dirty. Like, let's just be real about this for a minute. The real enemy here is not Michigan State. What did you want them to do? Not hire a head coach? Like, if they went and threw a bag at Luke Fickell and he was like, all right, I'm going to leave Cincinnati, would you be all up in arms about Luke Fickell leaving Cincinnati and his new recruits?
Exactly.
It's not his fault that Mark D'Antonio retired 24 hours before signing day.
And somebody offered him a bunch of money. Like Luke Fickell or whoever. Like,
right. Like, Mel Tucker's a bad dude. No, he's not. He just took a 100% raise.
Like,
the dude doubled his salary.
Like,
He just made a step that might make him a top SEC coach in 5 years if things work out right. Like, he's not a bad guy. He acted in the best interest of himself, which is exactly what everyone in that scenario would do.
Exactly. And you just said it, and this is like what I said, I think, I don't know, however many weeks ago, is I don't want the dude who's going to be at Michigan State for the next 15 years. I want the dude that other schools want.
Yes.
And this is that dude. Like, I'm happy they got the dude who in 3 years, if he somehow gets us back to Indianapolis, is going to go take another job. I'm going to be ready for it. That's fine. Just let's keep doing that. Let's be the school that gets the PJ Flex and then PJ Fleck moves on.
So this is why I'm happy about it. And I wanted to be clear off the top that I'm not going to say anything bad about the way that they did it because they didn't do anything wrong. They went and paid a guy what they needed to pay a guy. That's the nature of the business. Should the students who recruited to Colorado to play football under Mel Tucker be allowed to immediately transfer to another school and play immediately? Absolutely. Will they? No. Why? Because the NCAA sucks. It has nothing to do with Michigan State. That said, I love this hire because Mel Tucker is a guy who's had 6 jobs in 10 years. And while it makes you think maybe he can't build it, and maybe that's true, if he does build it and he dips, I'm fine with that because he won't stick around long enough to tear it down.
Absolutely.
And that, like, I like Michigan State finally going, look, we will give you the second largest assistant coach's salary pool in the Big Ten. Why do I like that? Because now I know you're ready to swim in the deep end of the pool and be a big fish. Sit at the adults table with Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State and Michigan.
Okay.
As far as spending goes, I'm not even saying you're going to win at that rate.
But I don't know if we're sitting at that table yet.
We were. And that's like we were
Clemson,
sitting.
when we were there, Clemson wasn't there.
Right. We were sitting at that table and they said, no, we're not going to spend money. And whether it was them or Mark, who knows? I think realistically, I think the money was always there and Mark could have gotten it, but Mark wanted to get it for Dave Warner, and the board was like, no, we're not getting you that money for Dave Warner. Why he couldn't get it for Harlan Barnett, I have no idea. Maybe he just wanted Tressel that badly, which maybe we don't need Tressel.
But we're keeping him.
No, but I think the fact that Michigan State's board and athletic department showed they're ready to spend money on this program is huge.
I mean, it's a completely new look. Like, I think even with retaining Tressel, like, you realize, like, Ken Manny's not there anymore. No more Ken Manny. Like, people, I think, again, casual college football fans, and even I'm a casual football fan, but I just have the insight of a bunch of friends that I know that played.
Sure.
The strength coach is the second most important coach because he's with them the whole time. That like, so more Ken Manny is going to be very interesting to see who they get.
Well, and honestly, changing that entire department is massive because if we're honest about it, the strength and conditioning coaches at Michigan State turned Le'Veon Bell into a Mack truck. They turned Connor Hayward into a Mack truck.
They turned everyone into Mack trucks.
That's not. They were.
It turned
ground
Connor
and
Cook
pound
into a Mack truck.
Yeah, they were ground and pound power football, and it's not the style of football that wins anymore. And so getting rid of that, good. I'm happy about it. Let's maybe beef up some linebackers instead of trying to just beef up your running backs. Like, let's do things a little bit differently than we have been.
And I
get somebody who looks like Devin Bush. How about that?
That'd be neat. I haven't watched a second of Colorado. I don't know what kind of system that Mel Tucker runs.
And offensively, I mean, he's not an offensive mind.
Right. So I'm very... I don't think he has yet. I don't know if I'm excited or nervous or a combination of both to see who he's going to get to run the offense because I don't want to be the ground and pound team.
No, I don't either.
But he is a defensive coach, which leads me to believe we're going to be the ground and pound team and win with defense, and that'll be annoying, but I'll be used to it. I just like a little bit more dynamic on offense.
Yeah.
Just, you don't have to be...
I don't know. I don't know that we're going to be much more dynamic than like Georgia.
That's fine. At least they have some interesting formations and athletes that spread the field. Like they get playmakers in space. They don't try to play in a box.
Which we would have to do some of that. But hey, when you get a guy like Mel Tucker, who's by all accounts an elite recruiter, and then if you can get a guy, I mean, maybe you add Harlan Barnett as defensive coordinator.
And maybe you cheat a little bit.
Yeah, maybe you put Harlan Barnett in your defensive staff, and you have another power recruiter who can get into Detroit. But Mel Tucker coming in and saying immediately, we are going to win recruiting in Detroit, that just shows me that's a guy who knows what needs to be done.
Exactly.
Because when Michigan State was good, they were winning recruiting in Detroit.
Pulling the Will
They
Golstons,
were recruiting in Ohio.
Absolutely.
And like those things now can happen because you have the money to spend on it.
You get all your goons, get everybody, all the skill players from Detroit, and then go somewhere else and find your quarterback because good quarterbacks don't come from Detroit.
But going back to D'Antonio, I mean, what does this prove to you about his reign on the program? Because to me, it just shows the money was always there. He just wasn't willing to get the guys to spend it on. He just wanted to run his church group.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of... I wouldn't say praise, but thanks for D'Antonio over the last however many weeks since he retired. And I don't necessarily...
I don't feel any thanks.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not great. I don't have any gratitude. Like, I appreciate that we went to the Rose Bowl, that he made the 3.5 years that I was in East Lansing amazing. Because that was the 3.5 years. Like, they sucked, actually, the first year. They lost a bunch of games, and Andrew Maxwell was the quarterback. But then those next two, that was... a lot of fun. Like, I got to burn couches that weren't mine, and it was a lot of fun. Like, I had a great time, and I'm thankful for that. But where he, like, plummeted them to the depths of, like, below mediocrity and just sad football, he lost all that good grace. Like, with me, he did. I never played for him, so I don't care.
I mean, I've always prefaced it with, he gave me the greatest memories I've had as a Michigan State fan. And then I've come back and say, he also lit this thing on fire. I mean, he
infuriated
made
me.
Damn sure that he tore this puppy down. And when he left in the middle of February in what I think was a clear move to say, I'm going to leave you in the worst possible time for a coaching search so that you have to take Tressel on.
Yeah.
I really think he retired when he did so that Tressel would be forced into the head coach position. Good on Michigan State for not doing that.
Thank God they didn't do that.
I mean, like, for as much as I was furious with the Board of Trustees for the waffling flake shit that Brian Masalam had to say about Luke Fickell. Like, just don't do that. Yeah. And maybe don't insert yourself into the coaching search quite as much as you did. But good on the university for realizing this is what we need to do.
A pat on the back for Beekman.
Honestly, yeah. I like, as much as he deserves angst, I guess, for the way he handled things when D'Antonio was tearing this thing apart, for never getting in that office and going, Mark, things need to change.
Seriously.
You can't just reshuffle offices.
Seriously.
For as much as he deserves us going, that was bad. And I don't think he's qualified for the job still, but he does deserve a little bit of credit for getting Mel Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, he reached, and it worked.
Yeah.
Like, I keep seeing these, like, Eric Bieniemy for the Colorado job. I was like, wait a minute. Could we have called Eric Bieniemy? Like, if Eric Bieniemy's taking a college, I know he went to Colorado, but I was like, if Eric Bieniemy's taking a college job, like, I hope somebody called him. But either way,
apparently we had to sit down with Robert Saleh, so.
Yeah, who knows? But, I mean, it won't shock me one bit, and I know that technically they've been left in good graces to stand on as advisor. It won't shock me one bit if the D'Antonio relationship deteriorates, and he's not around Michigan State much. Like,
no, and I don't think Mel Tucker's the guy that he wanted. I think it speaks.
And I know he coached with him too, and I still don't think he's the guy he wanted.
I know they said he was out of town, but it speaks bounds that he wasn't at Mel Tucker's introductory press conference. Yeah. You had to have Tom Izzo come out and give a speech. Yeah. We don't need Tom. Mark D'Antonio's got to be there to say, I will have a corner office in this facility, and I will throw my full support behind you. That's what you have to be there to say. Whether you're happy about it or not, get on that fucking stage and say that.
There's a part of Mel Tucker, and I obviously have no information into what he's thinking in his head. But if I'm Mel Tucker, there's a part of me that's like, I'm not going to listen to everything you say. Like, you had a great run for those two, like we said, those 3 years. But like these last 4, like, I'm not sure I just want to listen blindly to what you say. I don't know what happened, I don't know. But if D'Antonio reached out to Mel Tucker and was like, hey, I want to be there, he's like, Coach, that's great. I'm going to run things, and when I need you, I'll call you.
Yeah. And I do, much as I've been disappointed with how D'Antonio's final years went, I do have respect for the man. And
I don't want the statue, though. I'd like at the beginning of if they'd have fired him after last year, or he resigned or whatever, I said, okay, go ahead, build the statue.
Well,
you reshuffling the deck and coming back and running this back for a year and then waiting till February to resign, no, I don't want you to have a statue. You don't get one. I know he's going to get one, but I don't want him to have one for that. Like, name a gate after him. Fine. Do whatever. He fucked you. In the end, he fucked you. Like, he really did.
I think he'll be remembered for that, but, like, I think...
I won't like that statue. I will be upset when it goes up. I don't think he should have it.
I think, like, yes, the way it ended is going to be rough. And I think we will remember that for a few years. But I think 5 or 10 years from now, assuming Mel Tucker does well, we're more going to remember him standing at the podium in Indy, going to the Rose Bowl.
I will remember him saying, I'm going to go dance with my team to some type of way. And all those, like, those are fun memories, for sure. There's just that point of me where it's like, he was a dick the whole time, but when he was winning, I loved that he was a dick.
I will not want a statue if this Blackwell stuff goes south.
Sure.
If stuff comes out here, and that's where I was going to say, I hope the deterioration happens professionally and not in a courtroom, because if it happens in a courtroom, I'm right with you. I won't want a statue.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't want one already. That one would be like, don't even name the gate after him. That was a weird part of Michigan State football history. We're not going to acknowledge it that much, even though it was literally the most successful you've been in 100 years. Like, that was probably not great.
All right, should we get on to the NBA All-Star Game, which was...
Let's do it.
Where does that rank among all-time NBA All-Star Games?
Best one I've ever seen. Since I probably have recollection of the All-Star Game going back to like 03 or 04.
I was going to say, I remember back to like when Kobe and Shaq were in their primes. I remember the All-Star Game.
I remember Jordan's last All-Star Game. Like, that's probably the first one I really remember everything that happened. Like Vince Carter being like, no, I'll sit. And like all of that. Yeah. Like I remember that.
I remember the dunk contest being the premier event of All-Star Weekend, even over the game.
Sure.
Because the game was like a 210 to 200 final, ridiculous.
The game looked like how the first quarter looked last night.
Right.
For 4 straight quarters.
The first quarter, while incredibly fun,
it was 19 to 18 after like 3 minutes. It
was cool because there was a moment where it was a 3-point barrage and then it was a lob fest.
Kawhi hit like 7 threes in the first quarter.
It was super fun, but it wasn't basketball.
Right. It's pickup with no defense. It was let's sweat.
Yeah.
Let's go break a sweat.
It was shoot around. Yeah. Like it's not real. It's just the best players in the world having fun. The second quarter was a little better. Mm-hmm. The third quarter was a lot better.
Second half was great.
And then the fourth quarter was one of the best quarters of basketball I've watched all year.
You get 10 dudes.
That was playoff basketball.
More than likely, and maybe give or take, but more than likely 10 Hall of Famers on the court all at once, going all out. You don't get that in the finals.
No.
Like, there's not 10 Hall of Famers on the floor. The last finals we were watching, Kayvon Looney and all the, like, it was Steph, Draymond, and 3 dudes you never heard of who shouldn't have been playing the finals. In this All-Star game, we got Team LeBron, Team Giannis, 10 Hall of Famers busting their ass to try to get 24 points.
Yeah, man.
Like, it was electric.
You look at, like, this year's finals even. If we just project that you're going to get, let's say, Clippers-Bucks, that means you're going to have to watch some Pat Connaughton. You're going to have to watch some
Very limited Pat Connaughton.
Dante DiVincenzo.
He's not playing in the finals.
You're
no
gonna,
chance.
You're going to have, but like the point is,
Right, exactly.
You're not going to get Joel Embiid.
You're going to get Eric Bledsoe.
You're not getting Joel Embiid giving LeBron James a
Right.
dream shake to get
That
to 24
was so
points.
smooth.
That was one of the
LeBron had
prettiest
a rough
moves.
like minute there where Giannis just threw his shot back at his face and they came down on the other end and Embiid hit him with a dream shake and it was like, man, you look 35 there for a second.
And then he fell over in
Yep.
transition. That dream shake move was and
pretty
like Reggie Miller was right on
Oh,
with the call and give credit because the rest of that broadcast was awful.
Thank God it was Grant Hill and not Chris Webber. It's like, I hope your back feels better, C. Webb, but you stay away as long as you need to because I like Grant Hill infinitely better than you.
Marv, I'm pretty sure said the wrong name 100 times.
I've said it once. I've said it a million times. Take his toupee off and he will not be allowed to call basketball games anymore because you'll see how old he is.
But no, I keep thinking back on what was my favorite moment of the All-Star game, and I think it might have been the Dream Shake because it was so smooth.
I think the charges. I think
Kyle Lowry. Okay, so Kyle Lowry getting in front of LeBron James and taking a charge in an All-Star game.
2 charges in the fourth quarter of an All-Star game.
That's a play.
And they called him.
Kyle Lowry could get himself hurt doing that. That's how good the All-Star game was.
It was spectacular. And it was like literally the same 10 dudes for all of the 24 points. They didn't make subs. It was 5-on-5. It was a true pickup game. And even though Trae Young was a starter and Luka Doncic was a starter, they weren't coming back in the game.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle Lowry was doing the dirty work. So Nick Nurse was like, no, he's doing the dirty work in an All-Star game. I'm not taking him out. Like, all these other dudes are just trying to get buckets. Kyle's out here chasing rebounds down and taking charges.
So that
pushing
was
the pace.
That was the other thing I loved was that like Frank Vogel going, yeah, I've got 2 plays. I have an inbounds play and I have a half-court play ready to go if we need them. And Nick Nurse calling a timeout to draw a play up.
And it worked. They tied the third quarter.
Nick Nurse, I think the ATO play ended up in an out-of-bounds turnover. And then Team
and
LeBron
they score,
tied the third.
Trae Young threw a lob. Trae Young threw a lob to Gobert. And they scored at the end of the third quarter.
I do want to talk. You're right, but I do want to talk about Rudy Gobert.
Why? You just like, dude. Remember when Ben Wallace was in the All-Star game? But at least like Ben Wallace had some personality and an afro and would block like really fun shots or get way up soaring through the air. It wasn't 7 feet just dunking on foot. Like
there was a point in like the third quarter where Rudy Gobert brought the ball up and his dribble was the most atrocious thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean
he had no idea
he's not an all-star.
how to handle the ball.
It's not a knock on Rudy Gobert to say that he isn't an all-star because he doesn't have an all-star personality and he doesn't have an all-star skill set. Like
what's his skill set? He's
exactly
big, he blocks shots,
right.
And he can compete at the rim.
Kind of. He's not that great at the rim. Like Jokic beat the hell out of him a couple days ago.
I mean that's
like, and Jokic doesn't leave the ground.
If Gobert weren't, how tall is he?
7 feet.
If he weren't 7 feet
with like a 7'8" wingspan.
He would not play basketball.
No. And those are the dudes I don't love. Because if Nikola Jokic is 6'5", yeah, he'd need to be a hell of a lot quicker, but he's still got a skill set that makes him a good NBA player.
And you saw last night he was shooting threes.
Exactly. Rudy Gobert, if he's 6'8", doesn't play in the NBA. Like, take 4 inches away. He's not going to play in the NBA. He's not. He can't do it. And it's just like, it's not a knock. He's an all-NBA center because you have to pick 3. Right. And the center in today's NBA is just blocking shots and running up and down the court. And he is the 3rd best one at doing that. But that doesn't make you an all-star.
But man, when he had that ball in his hand, when he had to handle for even a second, you saw a sheet of plywood with legs.
Right.
And that ball looked like it was in pain, bouncing back and forth. I mean, that ball was like, do not dribble me again, bro. This is not going well for you.
He's not an all-star. And he's an all-NBA center. And it's not a knock to say that he isn't an all-star. Because if you want to be an all-star, you need to have the all-star skill set or the all-star personality. He doesn't have either one.
I mean, that spot, like Brandon Ingram, Devin Booker, who was the other Western Conference snub? Like who?
Ingram was there. Ingram was
I know.
the snub.
No, but I'm saying, like, who should have gotten it? Because Devin Booker was the sub, and Brandon Ingram was the one that was like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have been there over. Who was the other guy? Like, who should have been there instead of?
Yeah, there isn't another center. Like, that's the
But
problem.
you don't even need one.
Yeah, or forward. Center forward. Like, you have to have a center forward. They have to have so many, and there isn't one in the West that, granted, next year it will be Zion, and we will never have to talk about this again.
Correct.
Like, Rudy Gobert's done. I am happy you cried and got your All-Star game because you're never going again. Like, it's not going to happen for you. Zion will come in and take that. There will be other guys who will come in and take that. We didn't need Rudy Gobert there last night. And I don't want to sit here bashing Rudy Gobert, but we didn't need
You know who else I don't think we needed? Trae Young.
It's like
He had his moments, but
yeah, he had a half-court shot, and it's like, yeah, well, that's what he does. Like, did you see him do anything else? He put one through the legs and didn't finish the layup.
and I know he's a starter.
That's the
I know
only
he got
reason
the
he's
fan
there.
vote.
Like,
I know he's averaging 30 points, but man, Bradley Beal should have been there instead.
Yeah, first of all, Bradley Beal also averaging 30 points on a better team and does way more. My thing for Trae Young, he's only there because the fans wanted him. And I guess if it's about the fans, then he gets to be there. But like you saw, Nick Nurse was not going to put him back in the game because it got real and he can't play defense. Like I joke that it's because Lowry was doing all the little things. If he puts Trae Young back out there, that game's over very, very much quicker than it was. Because Trae Young is, by all accounts, literally I'm not making this up, by all accounts, the worst defender to come into the NBA in his first 2 seasons ever. Not like, since the modern, no, ever. No one has been worse on defense in their first 2 seasons per the amount of minutes that he's played than Trae Young.
Right.
He's the worst defender in the NBA. He can't cover the 13th guy on any bench. So if you bring him into that situation where defense is at a premium, you're going to get run out. Like, absolutely slaughtered. And that's why he can't do anything in the playoffs. Because that's playoff basketball.
Yeah.
Like,
So let's talk about the format for a minute, because I thought it was going into it, and I have to apologize to all of the slander that I put on Twitter. I thought it was a stupid idea. It just sounded convoluted.
I thought the idea of resetting the score after every quarter was super weird. And even now, I don't think it was necessary. You can still tell who won the quarter by not resetting the score.
It worked for the third quarter, though. It really worked for the third quarter.
It all worked, but I'm saying, like,
The first quarter and the second quarter not being close kind of hurt that. The third quarter being a tie,
Yeah.
and they were calling timeouts at the end and fouling at the end of the third quarter. That was cool.
But, like, do you need to reset the score? Or can you just say you're winning the third quarter? Like, because at the end, they took all of the combined scores and added them
Right.
up for the fourth quarter. It's like, you don't need to reset the scores. Be like, hey, we're winning this quarter. But either way, doesn't
I would
I'm
be fine
nitpicking with that.
and they won't do it because it'll screw with gambling. But I would be fine if next year they were just like, all right, we're not going to do the quarters thing. I mean, you could do it, but we aren't going to reset the score. And your target score is set at the start of the game. Go to 180.
Yeah, I thought they would. I don't know how much they're going to tweak, because that really was the best All-Star game I think I've ever seen in any sport. Like, baseball has its moments because it's actually for something.
Right.
And
Well, not anymore. They got rid of
it?
that.
so is how much I've been paying attention to baseball. But yeah, like, it used to be fun.
Thank God they
Like,
got rid of that.
Yeah, I liked that, other than when Bud Selig was like, yeah, no, it's a tie. Like, that's baseball. But it was the best All-Star game I had ever seen. Like, I thought a couple of years ago when hockey switched to that 3-on-3 thing, it would at least be fun. And I thought that's the best version of the All-Star game. Just something that's fun, wide open, fun to watch. This is way better.
This was
This is way better.
And I don't know that you're ever going to have a situation where you'll get them to do that for 4 quarters.
No.
But the fact that you got them to do it for 1.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really, too. I mean, the second half of that third quarter was intense.
I don't know how long it went. I didn't time it.
I didn't either. But they played every minute, those guys.
But yeah, I got close to 12 minutes of some of the best basketball I will ever see.
I think it might have been longer than 12 minutes.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was really good. It was high-level defense. Like,
And
that was finals-level defense.
Like, Allie LaForce came out after, and she's like, that was a playoff atmosphere. And I'm like, it really was.
Imagine if they gave him a week, like, to put something together. Like you get the whole week before the All-Star break off, and then play the All-Star game and make it matter. Like that.
That would be sick.
Give Nick Nurse a week to coach these guys and draw more stuff up. So it'll be like, hey, if Harden's on the floor, we're going to attack him. Because they weren't going at Harden, but they could have.
Would people be furious if they made it for home court?
Yeah, probably. They can't now because they mix and match the conferences. They'd have to stop doing that.
True.
Which, even though last night I think there was like 3 dudes from the East on the Bronze team.
I think now that they've realized that this was going to generate intensity, the draft might even become electric now.
It helped completely take away from the fact that they screwed up the dunk contest, too.
You know, it also helped to take away from the fact that it was probably the worst pregame All-Star ceremony I've ever seen.
How soon you forget Kevin Hart in L.A. It was better than that one.
Common was rough,
Common,
man.
It was...
And they were heaping praise on him. That was some high school
they paid him a lot of money
bullshit.
to do it.
That was awful.
It was an interesting way to do it. Who am I to shit on somebody else's culture? And obviously that is a huge intertwined aspect of the NBA is hip hop, and Common is Common, and it's Chicago. Sure. I understand all those. It was not nearly as bad as Kevin Hart introducing everyone in LA. That was terrible when they just decided to give Kevin Hart a microphone and walk him through the introductions where he could make jokes about it. I was like, this is fucking awful. But that one,
I thought it was rough.
It wasn't great. It wasn't as bad as the Kevin Hart one.
I thought that the
Shaka Khan was interesting.
Shaka Khan blew. I'm just going to be honest.
I mean, again,
that was not a good performance.
Go back to that same All-Star game with Kevin Hart, though, and she was better than Fergie.
Well,
Chicago outdid LA. That's all I can say. LA's All-Star game was horrendous. It was terrible. And Chicago's was way better.
This is a tweet from Coley from Mixtape. While Common was doing his poetry introductions, which, again, Hart was in the right place. I liked the idea and the notion, but it felt like he wrote those 5 minutes before he went on stage.
They were saying he was freestyling it. I was like, what? There's no way they'd let him freestyle that.
That would explain why it was not good.
But I was like, there's no way they'd let him do that. Just go out there. Yeah, you'll figure it out. You're Common. You'll get it.
Coley tweeted, he smashed Tiana Trump, then refused to pay her. Everybody come cheer for Abdel Nader.
Did he actually?
Coley tweeted that.
No, but Abdel Nader did?
Yeah.
Good for you, Abdel Nader.
That's the tweet. I mean, that's just, I was watching it and I'm like, this is absurd. He could say something horrible.
Yeah.
And some of the rhymes, what was it for? It was Statham or something for Jason Tatum.
And
I'm like,
where he had to go Chris Middleton instead of Chris Middleton. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, we're stretching now. Let's just, hey, from Texas A&M, here's Chris Middleton.
He went, he always is there to kill it. Please welcome Damian Lillard. And I'm like,
how about Dame's performance Saturday night? Dude can't play in the All-Star game, but he can get on stage and rap with Weezy. I mean, he's great, but
I don't know if I'd call it great.
It's a hell of a lot better than I could do rapping.
Well, fair. Yeah. How mad do you think Shaq was? They didn't let him do that in his prime.
It's a different time in 2020. Shaq would have done that. It might have been received a little differently.
So we don't have any more NBA for 4 days. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've gotten into a fantasy baseball draft.
Yeah, you were telling me about this. That is...
So I want to explain it for the people because it is an absurdity. Full disclosure, I haven't played a lot of fantasy baseball in my life. But I wanted to so that I don't have my head buried in the sand during baseball season like I did last summer. I kept trying to find ways to read into it, to watch more. Even from gambling perspectives, I kept trying to find ways to break myself into Major League Baseball, and I couldn't do it. But I found a group of people that wanted to do fantasy baseball. And it's a dynasty league, so we're drafting teams for the next forever. I mean, this thing could run for 20 years. Right. It is a 47-round draft.
That's absurd. That's a regular fantasy baseball draft takes hours. I don't remember how many rounds. I think it's you get 18 position players and 7 pitchers or whatever it is.
The only other one I've ever done, it was fantasy baseball, just regular one season. It was an auction draft. And it took 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
And that was part of why I was like, I will never do this again.
No, yeah. I did one. I was telling you, I did one when I was a freshman in college playing baseball, where we were on a bus ride back from Terre Haute, Indiana to Defiance, Ohio, because that's the type of places where I was. It took 5 hours for us to get through 3 rounds. And we weren't even Wi-Fi. We were just doing it off a board. It took so long. It takes forever.
This is absurd. I mean, so the one I did, again, it took forever, and I was like, I don't want to sit. Fantasy football, if you're in a draft that a serpentine draft or whatever, and you get through
I like 10, you said serpentine and not snake.
Yeah.
That's good.
You get through 10 rounds, and you're like, well, I've kind of gotten all the players that I care about. At this point, it's just bench guys who are at best trade bait. I think I can go ADP and let
You
it
draft Benny Fowler.
let it auto pick.
Here we
here.
go.
The thing about fantasy baseball is you are getting good players in like round 20.
That's because like there's everybody in baseball. Like there's random people on the Pittsburgh Pirates you never heard of. The dude hit 315 this year. You know what I mean? But you never heard of him once.
We have a group chat going so each pick you get a 7-hour window to make your pick, and it pauses between 1 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern time. So
Did you guys set this up? Is this just in the interface, or do you have to specifically request that it stop between one and like? How does
no,
that
it
work?
has pause windows
so
built into
wild.
the interface where it's like so that you're not running out of time overnight while you're sleeping. So it pauses between 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. for a 47 round draft where we have 7 hours.
This is the most baseball
pick.
thing I've ever heard.
Right?
now.
No, it's like running an actual fucking
Yes, it's
baseball
baseball.
franchise. So we're picking 25 players that will start 25 players, 13 position players, and 12 pitchers. And we have 7 players on our major league bench, and then a 15-player minor league pool per team. So you have to have 15 minor leaguers. So we're drafting prospects. Like this is real dynasty. We're getting in
Have
the
you
weeds.
you've gone into I don't know whatever the equivalent for basketball reference is for baseball, but like you.
Baseball Reference
they
has a
have one,
page. It's behind a paywall for a lot of stuff.
Oh, that sucks.
Which I've noticed. So I've been reading Fangraphs. I've been doing a lot of research on baseball for this year. I've noticed
pictures.
one thing about baseball. So much of this stuff is behind a paywall. It is absolutely
I
shocking.
didn't even let you show the highlights on Twitter.
And that's where, like, you go, why doesn't anybody know about baseball? Why are baseball ratings so low? Yeah, you have to pay to have any access to any basic information.
Can't watch games unless you have the local broadcast channel.
Right. If you go to NBA.com/stats, you can get all the info. Like, you're not going to Synergy unless you pay for it. But
Right.
Synergy
Second
is
Spectrum, stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I mean, that stuff's for like people who really know the game anyway. If you're just a casual fan, you can get access to all of the advanced metrics that are available to every front office if you just go to NBA.com/stats.
And they have it on Basketball Reference. They have
If you
dude's high
go to
school stats on
Baseball Reference
Yeah.
and you want to look at Albert Pujols stats from 2001, you better sign up for a premium account.
See, the amount of hours a day I spend on Basketball Reference is unhealthy because they have so much shit on there. It's like, oh, wow, I can look at this now, too.
Yeah, that's so one thing I've noticed through this draft is baseball stuff is all behind a paywall. They need to figure that out.
Every time I think fantasy baseball draft, I just think that scene from Knocked Up with Paul Rudd when they sneak up and he's doing, oh, hey, honey, doing fantasy baseball draft. Got Matsui. Like, it's the best line of the whole movie. It's like, just got Matsui. Like,
That was so my buddy sent and this was after the first night of the draft. So we drafted for 5 hours on the first night, got through 5 rounds. And
that's so wild. How many teams?
12 teams with 47 players each. We're rostering pretty much every player in the
Seriously.
league. We are in round 15 right now. We've been drafting for 4 days.
Like, I couldn't do it. Like I said to you, naming
actually
15
kind of-
minor leaguers would be impossible for me.
It's actually kind of leisurely because we're just like you're able to take your time and research during the draft. I would do an NFL fantasy draft this way. If everybody lives in different parts
But you
of the
wouldn't need to because you know the NFL guys already.
right, but like if everybody lives in different parts of the country
Right.
and you're doing a dynasty thing and
Right.
you're like, well, we can't all set up a time that we're all
For
going to
sure.
be able to commit. I would do it this way
For sure.
and it would take a weekend.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't take 2 weeks like this baseball one is about to.
Right.
But one of the guys in the league, I woke up at 9 a.m. and was set to draft, and he sent overnight that he had picked at 2:40 in the morning. He had picked Luis Severino in the 6th round of the draft, and he goes, tried to show some Nova girl the absolute steal of the century in Severino's 6th round at the bar, and she did not walk away. She ran.
Yeah, that'll happen. It's that I guess it's, what do they call it? It's not a meme because it's a video, but you know what I mean? Like, you ever seen the one with the dude screaming in the girl's ear at the bar and she's just standing there like, yep. I always think of like a dude talking about his fantasy football.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, no, I got screwed. Like, he had a catch and he dropped it and I lost a point for the PPR. She's just standing there like, yeah, all right, thanks. Well, I'm going to go away now.
That is a good video. That's like one of the guys traded Christian Kirk for DeAndre Hopkins, and it's like, that's what you're telling the girl at the club?
Yep, that's it.
Anyway, one last NBA thing, and then we'll get out of here. Poor John Beilein.
Yeah, I mean, just I'd hate to quote LeVar Ball, but stay in your lane. Like, it's a different world in the NBA than it is. You're coaching different players. Like, I know they're the same dudes. They come from college to the NBA. Everything changes when you hand somebody millions of dollars. Like, when you're a college kid, and even if he was coaching a team full of Michigan players, it'd be different because they're all freaking millionaires now. You can't talk to them and ask them to do the things you could get college kids to do because college kids will do what you tell them. You're still an adult. They don't know authority in the way that they were the authority. We're millionaires. People work for us now. Like, you can't walk into the room and tell Kevin Love what to do because he's an NBA champion and you've lost a national championship in college, and that's the biggest thing on your resume. Like, and I know Kevin Love has been pouty as all hell. And Kevin Love has been a big part of the problem trying to force his way out. You can't pin it all on the players.
No.
Like, I know they're bad. I know he doesn't have a lot of good players. I know he has nobody that will listen to what he wants them to do. But at the end of the day, like, you know what you're walking into, and you have to change more than you have to try to change them. Like, you have to adapt. They can't adapt to you. You have to adapt.
I would be lying if I said I didn't hope to slander this.
I mean, we knew this was coming in July.
I did originally I was like, oh,
I thought
Michigan,
he'd last a year.
Michigan coach, I would love to make some jokes about this. But the more that it's like come down and now that it's actually happening, like you're getting fired on vacation.
Yeah.
Like
he's walking away on vacation. No, Dan Gilbert came back to work and was like, yeah, this ain't working.
No, yeah, Kobe Altman is firing John Beilein.
Yeah.
Like we can't.
And you know what? Kobe Altman's probably getting fired at the end of this year too.
As much as I thought I would like laugh, and I do actually feel bad for a guy who realized his life dream and in the span of 6 months realized he was never up to it.
I think it's tough because I think he waited too long, but the opportunity didn't come until it was way too late.
Right.
Like if he gets a job in the NBA at 45, you're right. He's a brilliant offensive mind.
Yeah.
Can't coach defense worth a lick. Never been able to. Ran the 1-3-1 for years until people were like, okay, well, this is easy to beat. And then he adapted to a 2-3. Like he doesn't.
But it worked at Michigan.
Exactly.
And he had defensive rotations that worked at Michigan.
Exactly. And he's a brilliant offensive mind. And had he entered the NBA at even 50, maybe you'd have a chance, but to do it in your mid-60s when you're almost like you're pushing 70.
There were moments where I thought it would work for the Cavs. Like early in the year, Cavs players were hitting defensive rotations in ways that I just hadn't seen.
They stopped playing like thugs.
Yeah. Oh, well, there we go. Slugs. Slugs.
I'm not slugs.
No, but it does kind of feel bad now that it's actually happening, and I'm like as much as it'd be funny, Michigan's bad, so maybe they just fire Juwan Howard and bring Beilein back. They're not doing that. They're getting better recruits than they ever could have dreamed of with John Beilein.
I don't know what job is coming available in college, but he's getting it.
You think?
If he wants it, he's got 4 years left where he doesn't have to work.
Is it going to be the Larry Brown at SMU type deal?
I don't think so, just because Beilein is, I think, a more loyal guy than that, and Larry Brown has, it's not even a reputation. He's literally left everywhere he's been. Not great. Like won a championship in Detroit. Was like later. But I think, and I didn't read super into this. I just saw it as like a footnote. Something happened with his son resigning at Niagara before he ever coached a game, and that has apparently taken a huge toll on him. So it wouldn't shock me if he went somewhere where he could coach with his kid, because I remember his kid being like a GA at Michigan when I used to go to those camps in like the 7th and 8th grade. And I didn't read too far into it. I don't know what happened, but it has apparently taken a toll on Beilein. And I know they were close or still are close. So if he could go somewhere to coach with his kid, that wouldn't shock me to where I'm the coach for 4 years and then I give it to him. Wherever that is, I don't know.
Is it going to be a power conference school? Is it going to be...
John Beilein is one of the best coaches in college basketball.
Yeah, that's... I don't see him going to like Manhattan.
No,
like he's not going to do something at some lower mid-major.
I don't know what's out there. I'm not in the college basketball landscape. I have no idea which jobs are coming open or not.
Detroit Mercy could come available.
Who's coaching there? It's not McCallum still. It was McCallum when I was in high school. That was the last time I have no idea who's coaching at Detroit Mercy. How is Willie Green not the coach at Detroit Mercy?
I know that they're horrible. Mike Davis is the head coach at Detroit Mercy. I don't know who that is. I know that they're awful.
Yeah. I saw Lorenzo Romar coaching Pepperdine on Saturday night. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. OU is really bad this year, too. I don't think they're going to come.
Oklahoma?
No, Oakland.
Oh, Oakland. Oh, they'll never fire Campy.
No, I don't think they're going to. And it's not his fault that they're bad.
They will never fire Campy. Could have taken a job every year for the last 20, and he's not like, they're never firing
That job
Campy.
security is beautiful.
That's his program.
I wonder where he would go. I can't figure. He's old. Maybe he just takes a job in the athletic department of Michigan.
It's possible. I still think he wants to coach. I think you have to go back and prove that you're not that he doesn't have to prove it to me. I know he's a great college basketball coach. The one thing that I think of right away is it Boeheim's last year in Syracuse.
How old is he now?
He's got to be older than Beilein.
I mean,
he literally killed a guy. So you never know.
He also piss his pants on the sideline.
He did. Well, I think that's a medical issue.
I know, but like,
yeah,
even if it's a medical issue,
it's the same thing as Roy Williams. It's like you should probably not coach if you're gonna faint on the sideline all the time. Like, I'm sorry that you have vertigo. I feel for you, and that sucks. But like, stop. You're old.
Well, this is the thing. Like the medical issue thing, I get it. It's a medical issue. I'm not making a joke. Oh, Jim Boeheim. I'm just saying.
Right.
If you're at a point in your medical abilities where you are pissing yourself on the sideline, maybe it's time to step away. It's the same thing with like when you see broadcasters in the NBA, like Marv Albert, Hubie Brown. Dude, you guys can't see anymore. Maybe step away.
Quick aside on that, just because we didn't hit on it earlier. It would have been so much better if Kevin Harlan was calling. Like he was the perfect guy to call an All-Star game. Kevin Harlan. Like you have him employed, TNT. Just let that guy call the freaking All-Star game. He's already Reggie Miller's partner.
I would have either that or just, God, I would kill for ABC to buy this and let Mike Breen say bang a bunch of times.
So many times. ABC's got, like, TNT has a good, like, I like Ian Eagle on basketball. I think he's just because he's got big game voice.
No, okay, so Ian Eagle getting national games now is fantastic.
You weren't a players only guy, were you?
No, not at all. I hated players only.
I liked it better when they were just in the studio commenting on stuff, like when they weren't trying to actually call the game. It's just like we're watching the game, there's not really commentary, and they're just talking about stuff. Like, but Dennis Scott tried to do sideline and the things that, like,
well, and I think like the reason I didn't like it isn't because I thought they were bad. It's just, holy shit, we employ broadcasters to broadcast for a reason, don't we? Like, I get players only, maybe this will be a cool perspective, and it is, but there's a reason that they put people next to a professional broadcaster, because you need to be a broadcaster to broadcast.
If Ernie Johnson weren't on Inside, they would never talk about anything. They would just yell at each other the whole freaking time. Like somebody has to steer the ship.
I mean, it's this. Can you imagine if they let Mike Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy do this, or Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy do this job without Mike Breen? Yeah.
Also,
it would be a fucking disaster.
Stan Van Gundy, way better.
Stan Van Broadcasting. How are they
Jeff?
Brothers, man?
Like way better.
Stan
than
Van
Jeff.
Gundy's incredible. Every once in a while, relative to what else they're giving me, every once in a while, Stan Van Gundy will drop into I don't understand why this is this way. But then very quickly,
comes out.
Look at Steven Adams going into a post up here, and then he like dives into exactly what's going on. I'm like, I need this.
Yes.
And I don't even need it because I get it. I see it myself, but that's more what I want to see and what I want to listen to is somebody who's clearly enjoying watching it than Jeff Van Gundy going, what a pussy, just getting pushed around in the paint. That wouldn't have happened in 1995.
The cumulative of their Tuesday night on TNT is better than their Thursday night, just because like Brian Anderson, Kevin McHale, that's a good pairing. Not great, good pairing. And then Ian Eagle and Van Gundy, those two pairings together, even when you throw in Harlan and Reggie Miller, I have to listen to Chris Webber and Marv Albert. Like, Chris Webber, Detroit guy, blah, 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 great. Like, put him in a studio and just let him be on a show. Like,
don't even do that. He doesn't know people's names.
No.
He doesn't watch games.
No. And Marv Albert is, like, legitimately senile.
Marv Albert's one of the best broadcasters in the history of the sport.
1997, you're absolutely right.
But, man, dude, like, you can't see anymore.
Yeah. And, like, seriously, you don't know people's names. It took him, it's an all-star game. It took him 5 minutes to realize they had challenged to play last night. He's like, oh, timeout, and nothing's going on. I'm seeing the green light. I'm like, oh, this is a challenge. Like, I just heard the PA guy say challenge. And then they're halfway through the challenge, and Marv Albert's like, oh, we have a challenge. It's like, yeah, no shit, wake up, Marv. Like, yeah, there's a challenge. Like, it's just, dude, you're 100 years old, and it's like, know when to quit. And I get legends get to decide when to go, but, like, know when to quit.
I may have been, I don't know if this actually happened or if I was just searching for reasons to be upset with Marv, but I think at one point he said Kevin Walker.
I don't doubt that one bit.
Instead of Kemba, like
he could have said Kevin McHale, thinking it was Luka Doncic. Like,
I mean, there was the Jason Tatum dunked, or Jason Tatum had an assist, and they were like, "Oh, Jason Tatum," and Marv's sitting there. I don't think that was Jason Tatum, and then he's waiting for the replay and waiting for the replay, and they show the replay. Oh, you were correct. It was Jason Tatum. What a pass, dude! Don't call a game.
Yeah, like Marvelous is not Marvelous anymore. He's just Marv.
It's weird. I like Ian Eagle a lot for basketball. I hate him for football. Him and Fouts are my least favorite NFL pairing.
Fouts is horrendous. Fouts is horrendous.
I love Ian Eagle. Like
He has
when you
big game voice.
When you listen to Nets games.
Oh, yeah.
Ian Eagle's incredible.
Sarah Kustok and Ian Eagle, and when Jefferson's with him too. But Sarah Kustok and Ian Eagle are both like, that's one of the best pairings. If George Blaha had a decent color guy and it wasn't Greg Kelser, anybody in George Blaha is great.
See, and George Blaha can walk out to midcourt at Pistons games, spin his dick, do the helicopter, piss on the logo, and he will still walk into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Might be time to hang it up.
I don't know, man.
He's better at Pistons than he is at Michigan State, but
for sure. I don't listen to Michigan State games on radio. I don't know, but he's just as quick. He doesn't fuck names up. He doesn't do those things that Marv does. And granted, he has the same team every night, so it'd be a lot harder. But he loves the Pistons.
Yeah,
he's great. He's a Detroit guy. He has "Count That Baby in a Foul" is every single time I've ever heard and won. In my head, I hear "Count That Baby in a Foul." He's inherently the Pistons, and he hasn't been worse over the last 10 years. He hasn't.
That's fair. I'm more Michigan State football. He's got to give it up because he can't see anymore, and it's
a tough.
It's difficult, but they'll score a touchdown, and like the work he throws a pass to Cody White, touchdown. He won't say Cody White with the catch, Michigan State. He just says
touchdown.
And Michigan
MSU.
State, yep. And that's
it though, and you hear it, it's like there's George.
Touchdown MSU, and you go, oh,
MSU.
Sweet. And then you got to wait. Okay, the spotter's got the number. Now they got the replay. Cody White with the catch, and it's like, all right, let's maybe that's nitpicking, but it is. He's one of the better call guys. Like Mike Gorman's old. Tommy Heinsohn's old. They still do it for the Celtics at an incredibly... Heinsohn...
He's a character, man. That's all. In all of himself, he still plays that character perfectly well.
As a broadcaster, Heinsohn's not good. As an entertainer, he is fantastic.
Very entertaining.
That's Jeff Van Gundy if Jeff Van Gundy were entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. Heinsohn is just like... He could never call nationally.
No, absolutely not.
But
the outrage would be insane. He's literally called Nikola Jokic fat.
Well, Mark Jackson called Zion fat. Either way, he is.
But Heinsohn did it in much simpler terms.
He is to Boston Celtics or to Boston basketball what Mickey Redmond is to Detroit hockey. It doesn't matter if he's probably whatever. You just fucking love Mick. It's the same thing. You just love Tommy. It's the same thing.
When you hear Tommy growl, Kemba.
Tommy could shit on the Celtics, and you just be like, oh, yeah. It's like when Mick shits on the Refs or shits on the Red Wings, it's the same thing. It's like, it's fine. It's Mick.
Tommy was absolutely shitting on cancer the other day, and I was dying. I'm sorry, and it's cancer. That is a horrible effort.
And it's like...
That's the stuff I like to hear.
When I used to watch hockey... And I would hear the Boston dudes, and I forget his name, but the dude who calls the Boston games, not the color commentator guy.
I have no idea.
The actual
I never
play-by-play guy.
Enough.
I think his name is Dennis something. I don't remember. He is the worst. There is homers, and then there's that guy, and he's the worst. And he doesn't even have the ball. I don't think he's from Boston. He's just the worst. When Heinsohn does it, for some reason, I just fucking love it. Every time I land on a league pass, it's like Heinsohn. I used to not be able to. I remember the. I guess it would have been 2015 or 16 when the Warriors won 24 in a row to start and Boston almost beat them. And I was watching it on League Pass that night because it wasn't on national TV and they were about to lose a 20-game win streak. So I'm watching it and I'm just like, God, I fucking hate Tommy Heinsohn. He's so annoying. He's this and that. And ever since then, I've just been like, you know what? Tommy Heinsohn's fine. He's just old.
He's a caricature of what Boston sports is like. When Kemba hits a big shot and he just lets the Boston accent fly and oh, that's a huge three from Kemba. That's the best stuff.
They should start every broadcast being like, Tommy, how'd you get here? Oh, I parked my car at the Haba. Every time. They should do it every time because that's great. That's what's great. I wish that they still let Rick Mahorn do games with Blaha because he's so much better than Kelser. Yeah. It's not that he knew more because he doesn't. Kelser clearly knows more of what's going on, but Mahorn was entertainment. Mahorn's the bad boy. Mahorn was entertainment, and he still does radio, but they need somebody better than Greg Kelser. They really do. I don't want to shit on a Michigan State guy, but he's not. Get somebody better. Rip Hamilton is out there. Let Rip Hamilton do it.
Ben Wallace is doing a lot of media lately.
I'm not sure Ben Wallace has the personality to be.
He's a little quiet. Yeah.
Rip actually does. Like, Rip was on Players Only. Rip had done those before.
Chauncey could do it.
I don't think he wants it, but yeah.
I think Chauncey would much prefer to be the general manager.
Well, also, Chauncey's literally does national games.
Yeah.
Like, I think he only does one a week. He with Doris and Rucco, but, like, you're not going to leave national for, that schedule. You can't beat it. Being on the jump 3 days a week and then doing one basketball game is pretty damn good.
It's not bad. Yeah. That's not a bad gig.
Yeah.
All right. We are over, so that's it. We'll see you next week.
Later.